What's going on, everyone? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for 7 Deadly Sins, Chapter 319. Let's get underway, ladies and gentlemen, because this chapter, a lot of people might think that all of a sudden I'm going to hate on this chapter. And don't get me wrong, there are some still major issues left over from Chapter 318 and the epitome of everything that's happened since Chapter 300 as a whole. But once again, as a reviewer of this week to week, it's my job to look at the chapter on its merits, not blame each individual chapter for the sins of the arc, shall we say. You can still have great chapters in bad arcs. We saw this in Toriko, Bleach, Naruto, Shokugeki no Soma, 7 Deadly Sins itself. There has been good chapters, even great chapters, in bad arcs. So, is this a great chapter? No. But is it a good chapter? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that this chapter itself was actually pretty good. Because unlike the last chapter, where art was fine, battle was fine, dialogue just fucked everyone. Let's be honest here. Let's call a spade. It fucked everyone. Not like, regardless if your problem was with the ruler, was with the Demon King beatdown, was with the Bloody Ellie thing that now apparently forgotten about, the whole the vessel thing, the whole not using god powers or demon marks, still kicking ass. There was a multitude of problems that people had with the last chapter, and even if you don't agree or subscribe to all of them, almost every fan had a problem with at least one or more of these listed issues. But in 319 here, it's the opposite. The art was still fine. The art was fine. Nothing super spectacular. New Demon King design that looked cool. But the dialogue was wonderful. The dialogue was like, I read a translation, of course. But when it dropped, I read this chapter. And remember, guys, that I do have a younger brother who is about 3 years my junior. So, and we, before I bought this house, just a quick backstory, we worked together, so that's 40 hours a week, give or take, and we also, we lived together up until I bought this house. We spent, that means a bare minimum of over 100 hours, waking hours together. Two people in their mid-20s, two guys in their mid-20s who are brothers. So we got at each other's throats quite a bit. There were points that was just like, forget you. You know, there was a lot of tension between us. It has mellowed out considerably since we don't spend that enormous amount of time together. But this chapter resonated with me as a result of having said younger brother. And I can understand the feelings of Zeldris, and I can also understand the feelings of Meliodas to an even better degree. Because at the opening part of this chapter, it didn't get me teary-eyed, but I feel like had this chapter continued in that vein, it would have gotten me a little choked up and a little teary-eyed. And Nakaba, once again, see, this is one of the parts that I can only give you 4 out of 5 because you could have delivered a 5 out of 5, a 6 out of 5 to me, and you failed to grasp it. You failed to, there was the money, and you just refused to reach out your hand just for a minute and just grab it. The money was there. Just take it. And Nakaba did not take the money shot. He did not. So that's on Nakaba because the opening part of this chapter was fantastic. Flashback right away. Zeldris, Meliodas. And the fan base loves them. Nobody complains about a flashback with Meliodas and Zeldris. Nobody complains about a flashback in general to before the end of the Holy War. We all love that. We all love the lore. We love the history. We love to know how these characters behaved and acted and interacted at certain points. Of course we love that. So I was super hyped. I was just so stoked to see this right off the bat. And we get Zeldris being we notice that Ten Commandment Meliodas, leader of the Ten Commandments, was almost always in Demon Mark, always the black eyes with no emotion, all that stuff. And we see here how that affected his relationship with his brother. Because Meliodas being the ideal demon, the ideal leader of the Ten Commandments, this guy to be posed for the throne of the Demon King, we see him how he really was. Cold, callous. And Meliodas himself admits this. And we see here, Zeldris was not always the same way. Because remember, we're seeing a lot of these characters all the time in different situations. And this one right here, Zeldris is just, he's, of course, admiring of his older brother. He loves his older brother. He looks up to his older brother. And as we find out later, so a bit of a jump ahead, we find out later that all he wanted to ever do was have a normal conversation. All he wanted to do was be able to sit back, basically what the 7 deadly sins in the boar's hat do every day, what Bon and Meliodas do every day. That's what Zeldris wanted with Meliodas. He wanted a brotherly relationship. That's all he wanted out of him. He wanted to talk about how to hunt, how to, because of course their father, remember, in a certain sense, their father wasn't really around in the best of senses, so he wanted to just learn how to hunt, how to fish, what kind of liquor do you want? Do you want to go get drunk tonight, sort of idea. Can we talk about the girl I love? Can we talk about the girl you love? Can we just chit-chat? Can we just talk? Have you seen any good movies lately? I mean, like that sort of vein, of conversation. All he wanted to do was do very regular, normal chit-chat, brotherly talks. They didn't have to be deep and meaningful, but he just wanted to actually be able to talk to his brother. For a minute, for an hour, for a day, didn't matter. That's all he wanted. And that once again, like this arc, and ever since chapter 300, has been terrible. But they give us these moments, like 317 with Escanor. What a manly moment. They give us the hype moments with the characters that are popular, that we know, we love. And this one is, even though I know all this, even though I believe that Nakaba is seriously going, okay, I know either he knows it's trash or he knows whatever, he's still giving us each chapter, every couple of chapters, once people start to hate, and once the fan base starts sliding down, he brings back, here's Escanor getting sunshine back. Here's Zeldris having a brotherly moment. Here's, he's going to continue to do that throughout. Just so, and he does it every 2 to 3 chapters. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed? Ever since chapter 300, and ever since the fan backlash, he has been hyping up a character or a popular concept or something every 2 to 3 chapters, just to get us back in the game, just to get us, okay, this is pretty good. And knowing all this, that's my theory anyways, and knowing all this still doesn't take away from this moment. This, and especially once you read the whole chapter and come back to it, like I have to do, of course, I read the chapter a couple times, then of course I do the review, and I make sure to check my spots and everything before I make a cut, and just so I don't miss anything. And this was, guys, this is so good, because that's only the first couple of pages. And we're already into this like 8-9 minutes. And the fact of the matter is that once all this happens, right, and we see that he goes like, brother, do you have a moment to talk? He's like, what do you want? And he's like, well, and Zeldris is very, very sheepish about it. He's like, no, nothing. And we find out later that that's all he wanted to do was chit-chat with his older brother. Meliodas goes on to lament that this is something he remembers at first. And we go Meliodas' perspective, where he reasons why he acted that way. He remembers it a long time ago. You tried to countless times talk to me, just to talk to me. And I always was cold, callous, rejected you, all that jazz. And I feel like an asshole. He goes, I was so worn out, so focused, so hardened by the fact that I had to obey Father's command. I was stretched so thin, I had no time for anybody else, anybody's feelings, anybody's thoughts, nothing. I had no time for anything other than strictly obeying our Father. This also brings up an interesting point that, by the way I read this, is that Meliodas, even when he was leader of the 10 Commandments, was not cool with the way the Demon King was operating things. He was not cool with being the leader of the 10 Commandments, the slaughtering of thousands. He did not enjoy his position when he was in that position, at least at the point we just saw him. But either way, what happened was, as he points out, he goes, no, and Meliodas being a great older brother here goes, No, you know what? Blaming father and blaming that's just making excuses. At the end of the day, I'm thinking of one instance where I wasn't there for you as a good brother. There are probably countless that I don't even recognize as I rejected you or I was a bad brother. There are probably countless of moments and years where I did things I shouldn't have done without even realizing it. At least he realizes some, but he also recognizes he didn't realize all of them. And this is so character building right here for both Zeldris and Meliodas' relationship. And he says to himself, he's like, if after all this, if I can get you there, vent it all out to me, beat me half to death, sort of mentality, right? I don't care, but I want one day for us to clear the air and finally have that heart-to-heart talk you always wanted us to have as brothers. Nothing else. And don't we have the fan base? Do we not want Zeldris to chill in the boar's hat, have a goddamn ale, have a drink, have a damn drink, have a drink to Zeldris, Have a drink, Zeldris. Have a drink with your brother and just talk. Not about life-threatening, not about the end of the world. Just chit-chat. Just talk. I think as a fan base, we would all very much enjoy that. Similar to the whole, we want all the Straw Hats on the Sunny just to be the Straw Hats on the Sunny for a couple chapters. We would all love that. That's what anime, of course, is for. But anime filler, if you get my drift. But this is all necessary. This first half of the chapter is just pure gold to me in that way because we get the inner monologue, we see all this, and of course, the later half of the chapter brings up better feelings once you've read it and go back and reread it sort of idea, and I keep harping on that because I feel like it's necessary. When you reread after knowing Zeldris' thoughts, then you go back and start at the beginning of the chapter and see that same conversation between Zeldris and Meliodas back in the day, you realize that's what he wanted to talk about. It's heart-wrenching a little bit, guys. It really is. So, this is a perfect example of not giving up on Taizai, not giving up on Seven Deadly Sins. Though you can hate on it. You can hate on a chapter, you can hate on an arc, you can hate on a character, you can hate on what Nakaba is doing. But at the end of the day, there is still good traits to this series. There are still good things. And the series as a whole is still a good series. Perfect example of this is this chapter. After that, of course, we see that... and I just want to bring up a quick interesting point before we get into the probably a cut here because this is running a little long, is the fact that Meliodas was thinking about this, right? And we know that both Elizabeth and Meliodas have been saying, like, I'll convey my thoughts to him, or similar thing, like, I'll just keep, like, they're yelling in their mind to the spirit of Zeldris. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is Gothar's power, but apparently, by the way they're making it sound, and by the evidence given in this chapter, he remembers this moment, and then Zeldris says he woke up from a dream about that moment, and then elaborates on that moment. So can Meliodas literally push his mental thoughts and his memory onto Zeldris or onto the Demon King's body or whatever, into the mental plane or something? Because if so, that should have been explained, because I'm still with my whole beat him half to death, Elizabeth purge, like Hendy Ludeshul sort of mentality here. I'm still on that game plan, which is what they should have done. But if that's the case, if they can literally push their mind forward like that, like a Gothar level ability, then I either call bullshit because that takes away from what Gothar is uniquely able to do from what we've seen for most of the series, or they should have explained Meliodas with his God-given abilities or his brotherly bond, or give me some even Nakaba bullshit from Fairy Tail. Just explain that beforehand, because now I'm confused. Are you guys confused? Did I now bring up a point that now you're confused? Now you're going, huh? Because after rereading this chapter a few times, I realized this and I went, huh? Is that what's happening? Like, is he literally mentally pushing, like, I have the Force, young Skywalker, and pushing it forward, and Zeldris is getting some of it, but not all of it, because the Demon King's wall is too strong, sort of idea? Like, he's not getting through enough, but are they trying to literally push their mental thoughts and feelings through the body into the mental plane into Zeldris? Because I want that explained, Nakaba. Don't give me that. Don't leave it all yada yada la 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 sort of feeling. I need that explained. I need that told to me. And if so, I need it explained as to how the hell they can do this and never did it in 319 chapters prior. So, that being said, let's move on to the other part of the chapter, which is, of course, Meliodas versus Demon King, part 2. Now, I covered most of the second half of this chapter in the whole brotherly talk because I felt it was relevant. You need to know Zeldris' side of things to fully appreciate and understand the beginning part, which is Meliodas' side of things. You get both brothers' perspective on the exact same conversation, scene, flashback, etc. So I felt that was relevant. Now, but before that, yes, we get Meliodas versus the Demon King, which is still not going anywhere. Yes, it's drawn well, but Demon King is nothing. And once again, why aren't they destroying this lake? Like, Escanor destroyed a lake before noontime. Why can't Meliodas or Elizabeth destroy this lake? If it's literally feeding. And why only the Demon King? I have to wonder. Okay, so this Salisbury Lake, right? Blessings of magical power. Demon King's getting stronger from it. They're not destroying it. These are okay. And also, why only the Demon King? The Demon King is getting blessing. Is Elizabeth and Meliodas not feeding off of it too? Just food for thought there. Either way, I might make a video about that if this keeps going on, because literally, Salisbury Lake, you biased? You know? You're racist against chibis or something? I don't know, because I'm really trying to understand that point. Like, why is this lake literally feeding only him right now? But maybe I missed a panel about that. That being said, yes, he gets a new form. He keeps growing in power, sort of idea after, Meliodas' monologues and stuff. And this is a combination of when Scar from the Lion King, God love Jeremy Irons, meets Super Saiyan 3. That's what this is. Does this not look like a humanoid Scar from the Lion King? Even the demon mark even goes across the eye in a Scar. That's Scar, man. That's Scar. He's got the lion mane of hair. That's Scar. That's Scar meets a Super Saiyan 3 meets Galen's, recycled armor. That's all this is. Don't get me wrong. Badass. But the first time I saw it, I went, Scar. Scar from the Lion King. Kaniga's back here. Of course, he's, top lion. But this guy, yeah, so he kind of reminds me of that. Now, Meliodas goes to attack him and stuff, and he monologues to himself, but he's no Sosuke Aizen, so he don't know shit about monologuing. He's talking about Zeldris and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Meliodas punches him, but it doesn't do anything now. And then the Demon King continues to wail on him, saying, you cared so much about Zeldris. He goes, he's trapped in an illusion of his own desires. This feeds into something that we'll get at near the end of this part. But he beats the ever-loving snot out of Meliodas, and then Meliodas all of a sudden goes, Demon Eye, Demon Mark, boom! And he starts one-shotting the Demon King once again. So, fully powered Demon King, second transformation, still doing shit all to Meliodas, still not using Demon King abilities. How much more powerful is the Demon King supposed to be? He even claimed in this chapter, he goes, I am almost risen back to my full, or something. I mean, he says along the lines of, I'm getting back to my form, so people can say, oh, but he's still only at 50% and stuff. Guys. Like, the excuses for the Demon King not being at full strength. He's literally gone through, he got a new vessel and thought, oh, this is not nearly as bad as I thought. This is pretty great. While not being able to use the ruler. Yet he thought it wasn't a bad vessel. Then he goes and tries to power up at, still able to summon an Endura, by the way. Then he's able to go, and he's able to summon an Endura, and he goes to Salisbury Lake, and he's been boosting his power ever since. He goes through a transformation that only requires Demon Mark Meliodas to kick the living shit out of him. And he's boasting. He's boasting like, I am finally, while, my power is coming back to me tenfold and the blessings of the lake are giving me even stronger power. I am getting back to my original power as Demon King. The fact that he's giving himself in the realm, in the tier of Demon King. Demon King himself is saying he is within the tier right now. As far as I can read, if you want to say he's below that, I think you're just reaching, but that's just me. And, guys, I don't know what to tell you. This Demon King is shit. This is the worst part of the chapter, is the fact that he's got an even more badass design than before, and he still gets his shit kicked, power scale and be damned. But I can't take away from the first part of the chapter, and I can't take away from this last part, because after that, after Meliodas goes to Mark, beats the shit out of him, and goes, Zeldris, you have to fight back. Brother, you have to fight back, sort of idea. We jump over to Zeldris with Gelda, who we know, of course, is not Gelda. Anybody who thought that really was Gelda, I mean, where's your head at? But, of course, I've always believed that this is Demon King taking Gelda's form. Mental world, once again, similar to what we saw with Bond's fight against the Demon King. We saw Demon King Purgatory version fight Meliodas. This time, Demon King is taking the form of Gelda to corrupt and, make Zeldris pacify him, sort of idea. And, okay, it's also creepy. It's, really creepy. And I know that the One Above All, shout out to him on the Discord, Grim Reaper's Discord. Go check that out. Shout out to him, and shout out to, I think, Chocolate Emperor and a couple other guys that I'm always arguing with, debating with about Seven Deadly Sins, among other things. But sorry, guys, you got to take the L with this one. That ain't an illusion. That's a Demon King. This is a Demon King in Gelda's form. He's wearing a Gelda suit. You ever seen Men in Black wearing an Edgar suit? That is a Demon King wearing a Gelda suit. Sorry to say, guys. That's what he's doing. And is it creepy? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. But is it shitty? Yes. But it's still true. Just because you don't want to believe it doesn't mean it's not true. And it is, unfortunately. So, because we see the rest of the scene, we see, I've already talked about this, Zeldris talks about the memory, and this also leads into my thing about, are they literally pushing mental memories? Got to check into that later. But he's thinking about that. He had a dream, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about how his side of things, how all he wanted to do was talk to his brother, not just about fighting and killing, but about hunting and girls and liquor and, the usual brother stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, I just wished for that one time. And then this is where the Demon King Gelda says, pathetic. And that is my perfect evidence right there, because even if this was an illusion caused by the Demon King, like if the Demon King just warped a mental world where it was sunshine and rainbows, or if it all came from Zeldris' mind, then this Gelda never would have done a Demon King line of pathetic. Never would have done it. No Gelda created by Zeldris' own mind and desires would have called him pathetic for opening up like that. And an illusion created by the Demon King where he wasn't actually present, a created Gelda illusion, would also not, hey, guess what? I'm Demon King. I called you pathetic. What? Are you questioning this whole illusion now, buddy? Are you? No? Okay, we're good. No, it wouldn't happen, guys. So just give it a rest. That's the Demon King. It's gross. Happens. Demon King been a disappointment since chapter 300. Why did you think he was going to redeem himself now? He just made himself worse. It happens. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Taizai. So, that being said, basically the end of the chapter goes is that he starts to basically fall asleep, and apparently this is him losing his presence, losing his sense of self, and because he starts, yes, this is the end of everything, blah, 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 we see a terrifying shot of Gelda mixed with a skeleton, mixed with a grudge, mixed with that Momo meme, mixed with a few other things. Kind of disgusting, kind of gross. Good artwork, though, on Nakaba. And that's what he falls basically asleep to. Then we see Demon King Zeldris go nuts. He's powering up like crazy and stuff. Meliodas is losing his demon mark again. He probably just turned it off, I'm assuming. He's like, no, Zel. And this, I think, is this the first time? It might not be, of course. I haven't reread the whole series recently. But is this the first time that he actually called his brother Zel? Like the fans, we all call like Demon King DK, Supreme Deity, SD. Hendrickson Hendy, which Bond does do in the English translation, anyways. But we also say Mel and Zell to represent Meliodas and Zeldris, respectively. But is this the first time that we actually seen that used? Because I like that. I think that's cool. Do you guys think that's cool? Because I think that's cool. I really like that. And he says, no Zell, like a brotherly kind of term. I like that. It probably isn't the first time, but still, it's the first time we've seen it in a long time, put it that way. So forgive me for forgetting if it was stated, and I really like that. So he says, no Zell, fight back, don't give in, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people will say this is a shonen trope, like the whole, don't give in, fight back, And yeah, but once again, it's shonen, so, I mean, this, you can't complain about this when there is so much worse things, like the hyped up Demon King being just a Naraku body snatcher is still on the table. You cannot complain about things like that. So, and Merlin. We won't even go into Merlin and the Demon King right now. This is okay. This is an okay shonen trope as far as I'm concerned. Because we've had this building with the brothers for a long time. Foreshadowing. We've had this for this. So, Meliodas wanting to save his brother is, of course, a big thing. And he's sitting there and he's going, all right, let's do it. Like, he wants to fight, but then he gives up as we see the demon mark floats away, as I already said. He's like, no, Zell, fight back, please. Like, don't give in, don't give in. We see that we don't see the new form. We see the tornado of darkness surround the Demon King. But we don't actually see if he gets a new form after this, which dudes jump through forms faster than goddamn Frieza. So Dragon Ball Z references, anybody? That being said, here at the end we see that I don't think he's physically seeing him from the Raws. I thought he was physically seeing him, but here Meliodas is like crushed. You see this expression of agony on his face going like, no, Zeldris. And we see that he believes that Zeldris' presence is slowly fading away, that he's running out of time. He's not saving his brother right now. And this is another example upon the thousands where he is failing his brother. He can't even save him. He's realized all his failures as an older brother, but none of that means shit because here's his another chance to save his brother. And every single time Meliodas fails, as an older brother, I can feel for this guy. I can feel that expression of agony. I get it. I get it 100%. Pretty much so, guys, that's the end of the chapter. I think I talked long enough about the whole brotherly bond and stuff like that, and what this chapter means at the beginning of the chapter review. But what did you guys all think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always really appreciated. This has been Griever. Chapter-wise, I thought this was a pretty good chapter. Once again, the design was cool. The whole backstory was cool. Zeldris is cool. Meliodas is cool. Everything's cool. What Bloody Ellie means anymore is, once again, irrelevant. I think we're just so... Once again, she could still do stuff. I think we're just being so harsh because this has been a downward spiral ever since 300 for a lot of people, myself, of course, included. So we're nitpicking a lot more. We're a lot more impatient than a lot of fans like myself are about things like One Piece would be, for example. That being said, series is still great. Chapter was still good. New design of the Demon King was still cool. Unfortunately, by the looks of this tornado of darkness, we will not be seeing this form again. We got a new form this chapter, and we're going to ditch that form next chapter. So stay tuned for chapter 320. I'm looking forward to it, guys. What did you guys think? Once again, this has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for chapter 319 of 7 Deadly Sins. Drink responsibly as always. We'll see you back here next time.